Now on CoastTV News.
AmeriCorps funding cuts. Local nonprofits brace for the impact on kids as Delaware and other states take legal action. Newark crash. One person dead after a U-Haul plows into pedestrians near the University of Delaware. What police saying tonight. And signs of change. Delaware rolls out new designs for its historical markers.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
A safe haven for kids in Lewis, now facing an uncertain future. Good evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Thanks for joining us here for CoastTV News at 11. We begin tonight with several Delaware organizations facing immediate funding threats. It's all due to the Trump administration's effort to dismantle AmeriCorps. Attorney General Kathy Jennings is co-leading a coalition of 24 states and Washington, D.C. in a lawsuit to block these funding cuts. Now, the Children's Beach House in Lewis is a local nonprofit that helps children overcome communicative challenges. The executive director of the nonprofit tells CoastTV a loss of $283,500 will make meeting the needs of children much harder.
You know, the change of ratio is really for us, is going to directly impact that sense of safety and sense of belonging for kids. Again, it's more than just a warm fuzzy. It's exactly what prevents kids from having more serious problems.
Now, the lawsuit challenges the administration's move, which follows an executive order directing federal workforce reductions, with AmeriCorps employees facing termination as soon as June 24th. Well, staying in Lewis for now, the Minnows Conaway project will soon be underway in the city. DelDOT says they're excited for the project and expect it to be safer than the current Route 1 and Minnows Conaway intersection. The purpose is to divert traffic from Route 1 and provide people a way to move around the highway. The project will include 3 roundabouts. DelDOT's Director of Community Relations tells us it's the best option for safety.
Data that shows that they are significantly safer than traditional four-way intersections. Instead of having 32 potential points of conflict, you're down to 8.
And DelDOT says there will be some traffic disruptions at some points, but he says the public will be notified ahead of time. And this does bring us to our CoastTV poll tonight. We want to know what you think should be Delmarva's road priority. Let's take a look at the updated results, see what you guys think. Most people, 74%, saying widening the roads. 14% think more roundabouts, a few saying better lighting or dedicated bike paths. We also have a comment tonight. It's from Karen in Longneck. She says that widening the roads is imperative. She also says the lighting at pedestrian crossings needs to be more efficient, and she's not a fan of roundabouts, saying they're not good for trucks. But we want to know what you think. You can still vote and you can still leave a comment. Just head over to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Well, this is just in tonight. We have an update about the fire in Lincoln yesterday. The Delaware State Fire Marshal says it has been ruled accidental. Investigators say it started in an unattended burn barrel and then spread to buildings and cars, including a home. One firefighter also was injured and taken to the hospital. We are taking a live look outside now into Lewis. Our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams joins us now with a check on the weather. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Christina. And we have relatively dry conditions right now. In fact, the National Weather Service has actually notified us in our area we are now dried out just enough to reach that threshold where we're concerned about not having outside burns. In fact, even though we're not in the midst of what you would call a drought situation, we are concerned that even though we're not, per se, dealing with drought immediately, there are concerns about not causing any kind of burns or doing any kind of burns outside because of the potential of it causing concerns with elevated risk of fire spread. Outdoor burning is strongly discouraged as a result of that. And when you take a look at some of the numbers as far as rain is concerned, we're only a 1/10 of an inch beyond our normal amount for the month. Now, for the year, we're over 2 inches, but that's not enough to start playing around with. Now, Christina, we're going to be talking about temperatures escalating into the 80s as early as tomorrow.
Williams, thank you. Looking regionally now, at least one person is dead after a U-Haul truck crashed into multiple pedestrians near the University of Delaware today. Newark police say it happened about 4:30 on East Main Street. You could see the scene there on your screen. Officers say they were approaching the U-Haul truck, which was reported stolen, when the driver rammed into a police car, jumped a curb, and hit multiple people. The driver was seriously hurt and taken to the hospital. The passenger of that U-Haul truck is now in custody. Several others were injured. The investigation is ongoing there in Newcastle County. A World War II ordinance created some trouble for the Cape May Lewis Ferry. The Delaware River and Bay Authority says an unexploded ordnance was found in the Cape May Canal during low tide last night. The U.S. Coast Guard shut down the waterway for safety. The ferry says a bomb squad deactivated the old explosive. A ferry on the way to New Jersey with 70 passengers was forced to return to the Lewis terminal yesterday evening. Everything was back to normal after about 10:30 today. Well, plans for open land. This plot of land you see on your screen is set to be a new Cape Henlopen Senior Center in Rehoboth Beach. The current senior center says they need more room for the growing population and the growing needs of seniors. The new location on Hebron Road will be about 3 times the space of the current facility. The senior center says the project is going to cost about $10 million, and right now they only have about $1 million saved. Some seniors say the community has given them a purpose.
But I didn't know anybody, didn't know what to do, was unfamiliar with the area. And this brought us out of our shell, gave us people, new friends, people to do things with and enjoy.
And the Senior Center says it's reaching out to the state for additional funds, and they're hoping to break ground in the fall. Milton Town Council is moving forward with the purchase of 6 lots downtown for about $1.65 million. On your screen, you see those properties on Broad, Mulberry, and Magnolia Streets. The plan is to construct a building between 25 and 26,000 square feet to house a new police station and a community meeting space. Current plans also show there will be 60 parking spaces off of Magnolia Street.
The town has no dedicated meeting facilities, and we struggle to find places to hold our meetings, and it's just too much going on in this town to have to go through that. So we have to make choices, and this is a choice we've made.
And the mayor says there is room for a basketball court and a public restroom facility. He says the final plans will take between 1 and 2 years. Now to Ocean City. A proposed new rule in Ocean City would ban leaving personal belongings and sleeping in public areas. If the new rule is approved, the town could impound any property that is left in public spaces after 24 hours. They could also hand out misdemeanors to people sleeping in public spaces. Some vacationers think it's a step toward making Ocean City more orderly and welcoming, but others think it might unfairly impact homeless people.
They have about 3 or 4 benches way up on 27th or 28th Street, and they don't seem to bother anybody.
Now, the Ocean City Council plans to push the proposed ordinance forward for further review. Well, new tonight, Delaware's historical markers are getting a new look. The state's public archives unveiled a redesigned version that will be used for all future markers statewide. The updated design features the state seal at the top. 2 new markers were unveiled in Dover, one for the Public Archives building and another honoring the state's historical marker program. Officials say the signs, along with their new design, are essential in preserving Delaware's history.
It tells a story about something that historically happened in the first state where we all live. So they're neat to read, they're not that long, and they give you a snippet of history that makes you feel a little bit better about the state you live in.
And by the way, there are 700 historical markers across Delaware. Well, biking and walking are popular ways to get around the coast. Today, the public got a say in how to make those things better. DelDOT held a public workshop about their Georgetown bike and pedestrian plan at the Georgetown Public Library. And CoastTV photojournalist Matt Hipsman brings us there.
One sign says railroad crossing.
You'll have to wait until next year.
Oh, that's right. We rely on public feedback and public review of the things that DelDOT and the town of Georgetown wants to improve, because really the users of the bike lanes and the roads are really the experts.
It's been kind of a mystery how the end of the longer bike path would filter into the middle of Georgetown to reach the circle or really see the beauty of Georgetown.
A really important part of the process is making sure that the public can express where they think their priorities are. We have data to back up where we think priorities are. Certainly the public feedback is helpful, especially from those that use the infrastructure. If there's something that doesn't make sense or doesn't fit what you think would be best, right? We want to know that kind of feedback. That way we can make sure the recommendation actually works.
Moving to politics now, on President Donald Trump's 100th day in office, consumer confidence has hit a 5-year low. That's according to a reading released Tuesday. Karen Kafa is in Washington with a look at where President Trump stands on his economic campaign promises as he reaches this benchmark in his second term.
The White House touting President Donald Trump's economic agenda on day 100 of his second term.
President Trump is delivering on his promises to lower costs for American families and businesses.
But research nonprofit The Conference Board's April reading of consumer confidence hit its lowest level in almost 5 years, with tariffs top of mind for consumers surveyed.
Basically, anyone who's making a big purchase, whether it's an air conditioner, a refrigerator, a washer, a dryer, is thinking much harder about tariffs than they wish they ever had to, and they're not quite sure what to do or when.
The White House touted progress in things like job creation and labor force participation for those without a high school diploma since Trump took office, and slowing inflation. But Cardiff Garcia, editorial director for the Economic Innovation Group, says those indicators can lag.
Things look fine, but it doesn't mean that things actually are fine. It just takes some time for actual things that happen in the real economy to translate into those economic indicators.
Justin Wolfers, professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan, says the tariff uncertainty for both businesses and consumers could slow spending and the U.S. economy.
Lots of families are sitting around the kitchen table right now worried about the prospect of a recession. If that's the case, now's the time to save for a rainy day. Maybe pull back on that big purchase you were going to make. If that happens, consumers pull back on spending, that could be the first step towards a recession.
A reading of first quarter U.S. economic growth set to release Wednesday morning could foreshadow challenges ahead. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Don't go anywhere. We still have a lot more news coming up. Up next is Spring Checkup, the Food Bank of Delaware's event today and how it could help seniors stay healthy. But first, a summer safety warning. We hear from a Virginia man who almost lost his life on a Delaware beach, how he's trying to keep others safe.
Well, we're not talking about the beach right now, but we are talking about the bay forecast. Listen, we're going to push it to 83 on Wednesday, drop by 10 degrees and bounce back to the 80s again for Friday. But then the weekend, there's another twist or plot twist coming up in the forecast. Your complete forecast coming up in 60 seconds. We are indeed calm for right now, and we're expecting for temperatures to escalate into the 80s. That's what I'm going with. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Listen, our Irish Eyes camera right now indicating we are in the 60s right now with increasing cloud cover and increasing moisture throughout the rest of the nighttime hours. Now, before you get to freaking out, no, we're not worried about any significant rain or thunderstorms or any craziness overnight. You know, a random sprinkle, that's only if you're just that lucky. And if you're that lucky, by the way, I want to accompany you to the casino, because that you'd be rare statistically speaking. We're at 67 degrees on Lewis, Rehoboth Beach, Bethany Beach, but we're also at 67 degrees right now in places like Bridgeville, 68 in Seaford. The winds are pushing out of the south and the southwest. Now, this is a relatively dry wind, and we're mindful of the possibility of losing control of any kind of outdoor fire, so try not to do any kind of burns for tomorrow. In addition to that, we have some small craft advisory, meaning that we have some very vibrant winds that are going to be moving throughout the area, along the shore, as well as throughout the inland areas. Inland, probably about 20 miles per hour, where you see all this pink. This is where we're watching out for 25 mile per hour gusts. Overall, we're staying very dry throughout the mid-Atlantic region. Scattered showers and thunderstorms causing some severe thunderstorms rumbling across portions of West Virginia. And the only reason I mention that is because it looks like it's in a trajectory to move towards us, but it's going to lose a lot of before it reaches us. and a lot of dry air that's going to soak it up like a sponge wiping across a cabinet with a dry sponge, by the way, over the cabinet. 67 overnight for us in Millsboro, Georgetown, and Milton. But tomorrow, summertime, sunshine. 81 for the high in Lewis, 83 in Millsboro. We'll warm to 81 in Cambridge and Easton, and we'll go up to 81 degrees in Berlin, but 77 for the high in Ocean City. Wednesday, lunchtime, 78 degrees, a few scattered clouds, a bit thicker for us in Delmar, actually, along Highway 13. Then we'll peak at about 80, and then we'll bounce right back down to the mid-60s by 9 o'clock. Then as we go into, let's say, Thursday morning, 8 o'clock, temperatures in the low 50s. Then we'll bounce into the 70s for Thursday. Thursday won't be quite as warm. We're going to lose about 10 degrees of progress on Thursday. But Wednesday, we're into the 70s and near 80s. We'll push back down to the 50s for Thursday morning, early in the morning. Then we go back into the 70s or upper 60s, mid 60s for the most southern portion of our viewing area. Winds out of the south-southwest. But overall, we're staying dry till we get to, let's say, Saturday and going into Sunday. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I need you to go ahead and grab that CoastTV umbrella that you've already won, right? And came by to pick up, by the way. So here's a look at Saturday evening. Here comes the rain. And this little circulation right here, that's that low that's going to create another opportunity for rain on Sunday, and then on Monday, and then on Tuesday as well. So here's a look at the extended forecast. Bottom line is when the rain starts on Saturday, it won't stop.
All right. Thank you for that, Paul. Well, a Virginia man who lost his eye and almost his life to a flyaway umbrella at the Delaware beaches, he now has a safety message that he desperately wants you to hear. As we inch closer to the start of summer, reporter Tim Furlong has more on this man's mission to make sure beach umbrellas stay firmly in the sand where they belong.
Okay, this is pretty dramatic video, but it isn't uncommon to see a flying beach umbrella on a breezy day.
We've seen them go down the beach where it's like people are running to get it and it's knocking kids over as it's going.
Ed Quigley knows the danger all too well. He lives in Richmond, Virginia, but one summer day in 2015, vacationing in Bethany Beach, Delaware, his life changed forever.
I saw this umbrella just lift up, and all I could think of when I saw it move was, I got to get out of the way.
That umbrella went right into Ed's eye. He was airlifted to Johns Hopkins University Hospital and was rushed into surgery.
I actually did die on the operating table during brain surgery.
Luckily, Ed is still with us, and his mission is now making sure an umbrella doesn't fly out of the sand and hit you. Ed went before Congress and even got the Consumer Product Safety Commission to study umbrellas and change their safety recommendations.
And the old one says, you take an umbrella, you stick it in the sand, rock it back and forth, and then tilt it into the wind. It's not good enough.
We make sure that it's got some sand piled up on the back end of it, that the pole is driven down into the sand, so hopefully it doesn't go anywhere.
Hopefully isn't good enough. Ed says the engineers learned digging a deeper hole or even using those corkscrew umbrella holders doesn't work well enough. He says go on Amazon and search for umbrellas compliant with this safety code, and you'll basically find umbrellas that have a system that you fill with sand to keep the umbrella on the ground.
So a few summers back, my family bought one of these Shibumi shades. They're really popular down south and they really can't lift off in the wind. It's just not physically possible. The only problem is on narrower mid-Atlantic beaches, some towns have said they're not allowed because you can see they take up quite a good sized footprint, and in some cases they're worried that canopies like this and the bigger tent structures that people put up, they're going to block the lifeguards' view of the ocean.
Ed is also now going beach town to beach town, offering free safety signs through his beachumbrellasafety.org website. He wants them at all beach access points to prevent what happened to him in Bethany Beach from happening to anyone anywhere else. Until his accident, he never knew beach umbrellas were such a potential danger.
Almost every year I'd catch one coming down the beach, just hand it back and say, have a great day.
At the Delaware beaches, Tim Furlong, NBC 10 News.
Well, the Delaware Food Bank hosted a spring health fair today at its Milford location. There were more than 30 vendors and organizations, all with the goal of educating seniors about what healthcare services are available to them.
Just having the options of, the care, because, some of them being seniors, depending on what care that they need at their homes, they are always excited just to know that there's those services that are out there.
And the food bank says last year's health fair brought out 200 seniors. Coast TV News at 11 will be right back.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
In business news tonight, on Tuesday, UPS said it will cut 20,000 jobs this year, which is about 4% of its global workforce. The shipping giant says the move is not related to tariffs. The cuts are due to increased use of technology and a previously announced plan to trim business with Amazon, its largest customer. The company said it will close 73 U.S. buildings by the end of June as the next part of the plan. Well, do you remember how expensive power bills were this winter? Now in Delaware, new legislation would lower gas and electric rates for low-income homes. The rates for low-income families could be slashed by up to 20%, but it does add a surcharge to, quote, all customer classes. Opponents argue it would hurt more people than it would help.
This is just taking from Peter to pay Paul, and you're hurting the middle class and not allowing them to make the fundamental decisions that they should have.
The bill's co-sponsor said the rates are disproportionately harmful to low-income families and that this will provide relief to folks that need it most here in Delaware. Coming up in sports tonight, Caesar Rodney Baseball is one of the hottest teams in Delaware. See if they could stretch their win streak to double digits tonight.
Here's a look at your call forecast. Well, it's going to be a little bit on the breezy side, but still warm, so we should be all good. Breezy, warmer, and a high of 80 degrees.
Of course, it helps to prevent cavities and gum disease, but caring for the health of your mouth, it's also important for your overall health. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on the impact that bad oral health has on your entire body.
It allows you to eat and to speak, but your mouth needs care, and that starts with your teeth.
We always say only take care of the ones that you want to keep.
Periodontist Dr. Sasha Ross with Cleveland Clinic says oral disease may not cause any pain, so many times it's not treated until reaching a more serious stage. Some of the most common diseases and conditions that affect oral health are cavities, which is tooth decay, gum diseases, oral cancers, and tooth loss. It can also impact overall health.
There's many studies that link your oral health to conditions like cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, and women, preterm low birth weight babies.
In the U.S., 57% of children and youth aged 12 through 19 have had cavities in their permanent teeth. As for adults, 90% have had a cavity. Experts say the best way to prevent decay and protect the health of your mouth is by brushing teeth at least twice daily, flossing every day, limiting foods and drinks that are high in added sugar, and getting a checkup and professional cleaning at least yearly.
It's super important to find a dentist and a dental hygienist that you work well with, and to not be afraid to go in and take care of your mouth.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Two of the top teams in Delaware baseball faced off tonight in Camden. Caesar Rodney came in winners of 9 in a row, hosting Sussex Tech. Riders up 4-0 in the fourth when Kurt Helsden lasers one back through the middle. A run comes around and in to score. That makes it 5-0 Riders. In the fifth, Ravens need some life, and Rosnell Lewis provides it in a big way. Doubling to deep right field, it's a ground rule double, and that makes it 6-3 Riders. In the sixth, Tegan Monroney up for CR, chopping it through the middle to bring in some insurance for the Riders, and that would be enough. Caesar Rodney takes it 12-7. Now, with the premiere of Season 3 of Into the Trenches in the books, we now focus on Episode 2. We saw how the Vikings competed through training camp in preparation of their upcoming season. Now let's take a sneak peek at what to expect in Episode 2.
On the next Into the Trenches.
You know, he's a de facto leader, right, whether or not he wants to be.
I've been playing quarterback my whole life, and I've always had to be a leader. I know they don't like what happened last year.
But the only way you're going to win is if we show them the brotherhood that we have been building since Coach Fred took this team over.
We're going we over me, we over me.
Into the Trenches, a new voyage on the Delmarva Sports Network and DSN Plus, sponsored by Preston Automotive.
That'll do it for sports. Have a great night, everyone.
The first Saturday in May is coming up, which means the 151st Kentucky Derby is coming up. The historic Churchill Downs is preparing for the annual Run for the Roses. The Kentucky Derby is the first leg of the Triple Crown and one of the most prestigious horse races in the world. And guess what? You can watch this year's Kentucky Derby right here on Coast TV. Coverage begins Saturday at 2:30 p.m.
You know what, Christina? I have relatives that live and die for that race in Indiana. They really do. They're crazy about the horses. Anyway, our Ocean City, Hershey's exterior camera at 64 degrees, actually. We're going to stay in the 60s. Now, as far as our umbrella giveaway is concerned, Phil Golub of Selbyville, congratulations, you're our umbrella winner, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. Be sure you come by and pick up the umbrella. We don't send those in the mail. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, sponsored by the law office of Buxted, Mandalas, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. 83 down to 73, back to 84, 82 on Saturday, and that's when the rain starts and doesn't stop for 5 straight days.
Alrighty, thanks again, Paul, and thanks to you at home for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 tonight. You can always find some more local news and weather on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you back tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.